Doing the right thing, especially when it hurts. Rewarding employees. Preparing your business for the worst while expecting the best. Welcome to Business at its Best. I'm Robb Hicken, Better Business Bureau's Chief Storyteller. On the show today, NNU's Chief Legal Counsel joins us for a conversation about the importance of keeping promises, especially in business. Looking for ways to show more appreciation to employees? We all know that a manager's objective is to help both business and employees attain their goals. We'll show you a few ways to accomplish both. And we take a look at what the upcoming legislative session means to small businesses. First, it's time for Career Matchmaker. We're joined today by Jennifer Grundhauser from the Idaho Department of Labor. Jennifer works closely with the Professional Networking Group in the Meridian office. Jennifer, welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Rob.
Tell us a little bit about the Professional Networking Group, what it is, how it works, and why you're so involved in it.
Sure. So about 3 years ago, actually about 3.5 years ago, we saw just a tremendous amount of the professional level job seekers starting to come into our office, which was something that the Department of Labor hadn't seen, on a regular basis. And so what we wanted to do is really just trying to adapt to the customers that we saw coming in and be really flexible to what the needs were. And so we decided to create a group that was tailored specifically to the professional level.
What is a professional? Kind of define a professional for me.
Some of the members that we've had that have been part of the group, we've had anywhere from a former mayor in the area to Deputy Director for Homeland Security, project managers, IT, human resource professionals, really just more your mid to high level professional.
So you bring a lot of guests in to speak with these people and motivate them?
We do. We bring motivational speakers in. We will bring hiring managers from companies. We've done real live interviews. Just even getting down to doing resumes with individuals and job seeking techniques. Anything we can do to really help them. These are people that haven't ever had to go out and really look for work. A lot of times they're recruited away from companies, or they've just been with a company for a long time and have moved up the ladder.
So kind of give me an example of a success story that you've had with the networking group. Most people know networking groups, you come in, you trade business cards, and you go on your way. Yeah. But you've told me a story during the break a little bit about somebody special.
Yeah, we had this gal, she came in and she had been unemployed for almost 6 years, which is just a tremendous amount of time, and she was really frustrated, as you can imagine. She was very highly educated. She had a background with medical, with technical writing, with research and development, and one of her hobbies was actually in the aviation industry. She was a flight instructor also. So what we did was try to get as creative as we could and figure out what can we do to bring all of these skill sets together.
And how did that work for you?
Well, we actually had used another member who had been employed with a company here in the area and reached out to him, and I wanted to talk to him a little bit about her, get a few ideas, and we really just kind of brought the two of them together, and then he just kind of got the process going, and she's been working with them for about 8 months and happy as can be.
Now the Professional Networking Group is not only in Meridian, it's also in Boise, right?
Correct. We started a group also in Boise about 2 years ago. And so we work very closely between both offices in trying to just reach out. We build relationships with employers all the time and with the member of the group. So it's really more than just saying, here's a company, here's a job description, here's something that might match. It's really getting to know that person and the company and making sure that we're making the best match we can long term.
How can they get a hold of you if they want to get involved in the networking group?
Sure. They can call me directly at the Meridian office, which is 364-7785, and ask for Jennifer Grundhauser.
Excellent.
Okay.
So the networking group is there for professionals now. How often do they meet? We didn't have that.
Sure. In Meridian, we actually meet every Friday from 9:30 until 11:30, and the Boise office meets every other Thursday, actually the first and third Thursday of each month from 10 until 12.
Excellent. Have you ever heard someone make an excuse for not keeping a promise? Coming next on Business at its Best, the importance of making and keeping promises. Each week, professors from the Northwest Nazarene University drop in with expert advice for business owners. Today on Integrity Counts, we're looking at the importance of keeping promises in the marketplace. Dr. Bill Russell is Executive Director for Community Relations and Chief Legal Counsel at Northwest Nazarene University. Bill, do we need to keep the promises that we make in business? Is that important?
The answer should be obvious, of course, and the answer is yes, for a lot of reasons: ethical reasons, legal reasons, and business reasons. It's really important.
Is there, let's first explore the legal reasons for keeping your promises.
You know, in the context of the law, promises are a part of contracts. And in business, everything we do is in contract. Employment, buying and selling, the supplies that we buy for our business, everything we do is contract, and that's all promises. I promise to give you something, you promise to pay me. So in the legal context, promises are contracts, and if you don't keep your promises there, you get sued. So it's pretty important.
So it's very important to keep your promise in the legal aspect. Let's talk a little bit about the ethical aspect of it.
You know, in a very real sense, promises are the same thing as making a statement to somebody, and if you don't keep it, it's the same thing as lying. So if you perceive that there's an ethic about lying, you pretty much have to accept that there's an ethic about keeping your promises. You say you'll do something, you don't do it, it's a lie. You keep your promise, it's not. You do it for that reason. If you want to be ethical, you got to keep your promises.
So does that go also beyond just the business to business, but how about working with your employees? Is that important too?
Every stakeholder you deal with, you have an obligation to be honest with. And you know, if you choose not to, you can do that, but don't call yourself ethical.
So the ethical blends itself into every aspect of your business. Talk a little bit about then why making a promise is more than just being honest. I mean, there's integrity, there's...
Sure, and in the long run, it affects the survivability of your business. If you get a reputation for being dishonest, your business won't survive. Sustainability is tied to honesty and ethics, and we really believe, and we teach all our students, that you have to be ethical, you have to be honest, keep your promises. If you don't, your reputation goes down. And of course, the legal implications are always there. You may get sued, and you'll spend a lot of money on lawyers, which in my world is always good, but not so much for the businesses.
Absolutely. Is there a way or a method to repair? Let's say that I did have a lapse and I became a little bit, didn't keep a promise that I made. What's the steps to take to get back to being that pure ethical person?
You know, it's a hard road to walk once you get the reputation for being a promise breaker. The answer is you may not get the chance to repair it. Now, some people may give you the chance, and then you've got to be scrupulous about how honest you are. But some people won't ever give you a second chance.
And is that a difficult hump to overcome in business? I mean, once you're on the downhill side, is that the end of your business? You know,
it can be. Again, it depends upon who you're dealing with and what your customers or your vendors or your employees, whoever it is you're working with and didn't keep promises to, they'll make the decision. But as I say, some people won't ever forget, some will, and then you've got to do right. And you may be able to repair it, but you may not. If you've got people that won't give you the chance, you're not going to repair it.
Well, now, a lot of business is done by word to word. Is my word my bond in a legal sense?
In a legal sense, contracts can be written or they can be oral. So yeah, there are some contracts that have to be in writing, but from a legal point of view, you need to pretty much assume that if you say it, you better keep the promise.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate you coming and taking time with us today. Looking for a more meaningful way to recognize top performers in your business? Coming up a little later, helping people live up to your expectations to meet their goals. First, lawmakers are back in Boise. What will their time in Idaho's capital mean to your business? Find out when Business at its Best returns. What could this year's legislative session mean to your business? That's the focus of this month's Business to Business, Idaho Press Tribune's monthly business magazine. IPT's business reporter, Holly Beech, joins us. Good morning, Holly. Thanks for coming on the air with us.
Good morning.
So let's talk a little bit about the legislative session and what is the main focus going to be this year for businesses?
A lot of businesses are looking at some tax issues. The corporate income tax is a big one because Idaho's is actually higher than all of our surrounding states. And so for people who are marketing the state to potential developers, it's harder to market Idaho because they see that larger, the 7.6% corporate income tax, and it gives them a greater incentive to go elsewhere in the Northwest.
And so that's going to come up very strongly in the legislative session.
Yeah, that's a lot of the chambers of commerce around here, that's on their list of lobbying to legislators to hopefully bring that down.
What other taxes are they looking at?
Another concern is the personal property tax for businesses. They have to take the inventory of the possessions of the business, and then it's a lot of paperwork and a lot of cumbersome time for small business owners.
And is this tax, I mean, it's cumbersome, but what does it mean for businesses? Are we paying a lot of extra tax?
Well, it just means that things that are depreciating in value are still having the same price or the same tax. So a lot of them see it as they want to bring it down, to dumb it down.
And what methods are they using to get that lowered?
That's the problem. Is the reason why it hasn't been lowered in the past is because there's not another revenue source to fill the gap of the money that would be eliminated from that. So that's still up in the air.
But that's going to come up this session, especially. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what are some of the business community's concerns other than taxes.
The health insurance is a big concern, especially for small business owners. A trend has been for owners to drop health insurance or to downgrade their policy. And so that's a big one. They want to see some sort of state health insurance exchange to make it more competitive and more affordable, and hopefully keep it out of the federal government's hands and in the state's hands.
Now, Governor Otter just took a bunch of money for the exchange program, isn't that correct?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I just know that that's one of the things that's definitely going to be on the table this session, and strong discussions about it.
Well, the Obamacare package is coming right up on this, isn't it?
Yeah, and so it's very a timely matter. It's something that needs to be figured out this session, hopefully.
Okay. Are there other concerns that they have?
Another concern is how to lobby, what's the best way. And after talking to people who are experienced lobbyists, it looks like strength in numbers is a good way to go about it. You can always email your legislator personally, but there's many associations, such as the National Federation of Independent Business, and they've been lobbying for years. They know who to talk to. They have the same concerns as a lot of small business owners. So to team up with them is probably your best bet.
So contacting your individual legislators is still a good way, but joining a bigger group, maybe get your word across?
And as for legislators, it's to have it condensed into one voice and a personal interaction with maybe a Chamber of Commerce board member. It's easier for them that way too a lot of times.
Now your story comes out when?
On Monday.
On this coming Monday. Session begins?
On Monday also.
On Monday also.
So.
Okay, great. This is thanks for coming on the show with us, Holly.
Thank
we appreciate it. You can pick up a copy of the Press Tribune.
In any of our normal papers, they'll be in there. Okay,
great and good. That's fine. We appreciate your time on this. Coming up next, finding the right ways to reward your employees. Welcome back. Have you ever wondered why a worker behaves the way he or she does? Or why people so often live up or down to their expectations the others have put on them? Ultimately, a manager's objective is to assist both business and employees in attaining their goals. A manager can do this by offering incentives or programs that improve the organization's performance while rewarding the employees for their desired activities. That's our topic today with Dr. Marilyn Melchoirre, Assistant Professor of Business at the College of Idaho. Good morning, Marilyn. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
I guess they call you Dr. Mel.
Dr. Mel, that's fine.
Let's talk a little bit about the incentive program and how does a company come about? Where do they start in getting the whole program going?
Well, one of the key things is to plan. This should not be an afterthought. Say if you had a good week or a good quarter and say, okay, I'm going to give a bonus or I'm going to give a reward, because that ultimately can backfire, because if the next week or quarter you don't do anything, it can hurt morale. So you really need to take three things into consideration as you're planning. One, what is the desired outcome? What's the goal? What do you have? And then two, what are the behaviors that need to happen in order to achieve that? And then the third is the time frame. How long does this incentive or reward need to be in place so that the behaviors really become ingrained and a part of the everyday activity?
So getting the plan down is the first step. Then what are some of the rewards that you put into that program?
And again, looking at the behaviors that need to happen in order for the organization to achieve the goal. So there are incentives, which those can be cash, gift cards. It may even be just time off. Or a recognition program may help get the same desired result. Are you providing some type of award, a name on a plaque, some type of recognition that the employee will then value? Because many times it's the action of recognizing what happened that is just as important.
Now, we talked a little bit about it in the break, about giving out a card. Do you involve employees when you establish those incentives?
Exactly. The incentives that you're going to offer, find out what is of value to the employees. Because if you offer a cash bonus or a gift card, that is something that the employees don't really value, then you're not going to get the desired result. So, kind of an idea would be an applause award, where being able to have all the employees and managers recommend other employees or nominate them when you see someone go above and beyond what their work is. And it can be like a traveling trophy, a stuffed animal, or some item that then can be in their workspace. And this shows that that person nominated by their peers did something above and beyond. So little cost, but great recognition, and it's ongoing recognition because they have this award in their workspace.
Is it difficult to get started?
Get started, it is trying to kind of build the morale and the culture, that understanding exactly what the behaviors are. And if employees don't have the skill set to achieve your desired outcome, then maybe you need to look at providing some type of training in order to have that reward program.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on our program today, Dr. Mel. We
Thank you.
Taking the time to be with us today, and this is a very important program. Next, it's easy to think it will never happen to you, but what is your plan if you walk into your business one morning and the pipes have burst and there's several inches of water on the floor? Considering the emergency plan, our topic when we return. Is your business ready for a disaster? It could be natural or man-made. BBB recommends every company have a disaster plan in place. BBB CEO Dale Dixon offers some things to consider when putting your plan together.
Reacting to a natural disaster or an emergency not only means that you're ensuring the immediate safety for your employees, but it also means you're planning on how your business is going to continue to function in the aftermath should a disaster arrive. We always like to say, you plan for the worst and you hope for the best. Well, even if your business is not located in an area that is likely target for, say, a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, we're encouraging businesses to be prepared for the unexpected with a comprehensive business continuation plan. It's a survival plan for your business. Better Business Bureau advises business owners to develop this plan for action should their business face a disaster, because it can happen to anyone. Here's one reason why it's so important for you to have a disaster plan in place. According to the Insurance Institute for Home and Business Safety, 1 in 4 small businesses that's forced to close because of a disaster never reopens. Businesses that have a plan in place and use it during and after the disaster strikes typically experience less damage, they experience less loss and downtime than a business without a plan. So let's put that plan together. First and foremost, just don't be caught off guard. Consider the different types of disasters that could happen in Idaho. Fire, flood, even if it's just somebody hitting the fire sprinkler in your building and creating that type of a flood. What are you going to do? What about strong winds? What about rain? What about a big snowstorm that shuts your business down? How do you handle it? It can occur to your business. It can happen to just about anybody. The next step in this plan is to know your surroundings. Think about alternate locations for your business to operate if you're displaced from your current building. This could mean enabling employees to work from home or finding an alternate location for your office or your store. Preparation of your staff is crucial in this process. So you'll want to think about those essential staff who are core to your operations. Think about those folks. Have a list of their names, their phone numbers. Do they use a cell? Do they use text messaging? What's the best way to contact them? Email addresses, also important. and have that on hand for you and your management team so that you have quick contact should an emergency take place. We can't say it enough. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You want to devise an emergency communications plan that outlines how your business will communicate with employees, with customers, with vendors, and other key external contacts in the days following a disaster. Contact your vendors and suppliers to confirm their emergency response plan procedures and that they are there part of your team helping you get back on your feet. And also be prepared to use alternate vendors. Yes, the next step is to have that up-to-date inventory of your assets. Look at your insurance policies to ensure that you have adequate coverage for the items that you cannot afford to lose. Standard policy might not cover a business interruption loss. Store your documents safely and efficiently. You're going to want to keep duplicates of personnel, payroll, payables, and receivables, and other essential records at an off-site location. Be sure they are secure. And then regularly make backup copies of important computer files. A succession plan is also an important part of your emergency plan. Establish that succession of management for the company. Determine who's going to manage the company if key leaders are unavailable. And remember, you can always turn to Better Business Bureau for help in keeping your business running efficiently and building trust in the community.
And that does it for this edition of Business at its Best. Thank you for spending the past half hour with us. We're back next week right here on KTRV Channel 12.